Okay guys, so I've got the whole system mounted now, kind of the way I would like it. I've got the battery here. I have the inline fuse right at the positive battery terminal. This goes to my very large marine switch. Hey guys, Outdoor Prepper, welcome back to the channel. I promised you we would do a part 2 to the build your own power station with the battery and an inverter, and this is it. I have picked up today a whole bunch of components that are a little bit higher end than the last video, especially the inverter, and I want to show you exactly each of the components. We're going to pull the camera in close, or I'll throw some stills up there, and then we're actually going to build this system together. I'm going to list every single item, every single price, down to the wood that you have to buy if you want to make a nice platform for the whole system. So what I purchased here today is, and I think I'm saying this correctly, Vatrer. This is a 300 amp LiFePO4 12.8 volt battery. This is compatible Vatrer 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. I got a lot of flack on the last video for not mentioning that you should have a pure sine wave inverter. You absolutely should. This is one of them. And then from the last video, I did not mention the charger, but I picked up a charger specifically for this battery, and you do need a LiFePO4 or a lithium iron phosphate compatible charger. This happens to be a 14.6 volt, 70 amp charger. Very heavy duty charger. You can just see from the thickness of these cables. I also picked up separately from the company, because I bought this, the charger, and the inverter all from the same company. Then I bought this switch on Amazon, and I'm going to post the link, like I said, to everything. This is a cutoff switch because I'm going to put this on the positive terminal. That way we can control the power going to the inverter. Additionally, what I picked up is a fuse, because you should always put a fuse at the positive terminal as close to the battery as you can. So this fuse, and again, I'm going to post the link in the description, is going to go here at the positive terminal. The cabling is then going to go to the switch. It's then going to go to the inverter. On the negative side, it's going to go from the negative terminal direct to the inverter. We're going to build all this together in just a couple of minutes. Additionally, the inverter itself came with a remote on-off switch. This is going to be useful if you have this, say, mounted in like an off-grid cabin or somewhere, not directly near you, and you want to be able to turn it on or off remotely. Maybe you're using this in an RV or a camping trailer. I'll probably mount this on the board just so we can demonstrate it, but in my specific use case, it's not going to be as useful for me. Now, what would you build a system like this for? Well, the easy answer is you would build this for a power outage. Maybe you don't want to buy a typical inverter type system like a portable power station, because your use case might be different. You might want to build power in an off-grid cabin. You might want to build power in a remote shed or a garage or someplace where you're trying to build a more permanent setup, and maybe you just don't want to have that one power station which is limited to its capacity. A system like this, now you can just use the inverter and the battery together, and you can use this for an emergency. You can get smaller batteries, larger batteries. I happen to pick this battery for a reason, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Building a setup like this allows you some options that a portable power station would otherwise not allow you. Let's say one component of the system goes bad. You can just replace it. If you have a problem with the inverter, or you want a larger or smaller one, you can take this component out of the system and put a different one in. If you want 2 batteries, you can add a second battery. You can wire them together. If you want 3 batteries, whatever it is that you want, this type of a setup allows you the ability to customize that, as opposed to a off-the-shelf portable power station, which is just whatever unit you buy, and that's it. Before we pull the camera in close, I want to just talk about this battery for a moment. This is a 300 amp hour, 12.8 volt LiFePO4 battery. So this is a lithium iron phosphate battery, which means the cells are not subject to thermal runaway. So you see all the time about electric bikes catching on fire and burning down houses. This is not that type of battery. This is a stable battery chemistry. Now, these types of batteries are rated for roughly 3,000 to 4,000 cycles, that's a charge cycle, before the battery can only maintain about 80% of its rated capacity. Now, this battery specifically has a feature that I like, and I live here in the Northeast, and I may store this in the garage, which is not directly heated, so it is not as warm as the house. This battery is self-heating, which basically means it has a small heating pad under the battery, which keeps the cells warm, because you don't want a LiFePO4 battery to be cold or below like 35 degrees when you're going to charge it. It's not good for the cells. It's actually quite bad. So having a heated battery, it's going to take a small amount of power from the battery to maintain its temperature, but it's going to be a negligible amount, especially a battery of this size. And so that's why I picked this up, and that's why it will allow me to store it in the garage and still be able to charge it when I need to. Now, the number one question I got from the last video was, how do you charge the battery? I didn't mention it in the last video, but you need a LiFePO4 or lithium iron phosphate battery charger. This charger here on the table is a higher amperage, and I bought a higher amperage charger because this is quite a large battery and I want to be able to charge it a little bit faster. You can get lower amperage chargers, but make sure it is rated for a lithium iron phosphate battery. And to answer the question, how am I going to charge it? Well, if I'm running the system, right, we have a power failure, I'm powering my fridge, I'm powering the microwave, I'm powering the coffee maker, the toaster, the lights, the television, the Wi-Fi, whatever it is, and the battery becomes low, I have a few options. I can get a solar charge controller, and we'll talk about that in a separate video, but I can get one of those and I can charge the battery with solar, or probably the preferred option is have a small portable generator, whether that's a 2500 watt generator, whatever it is, just a small one, plug the charger into it, and charge up the battery. Because you may spend a couple of hours charging the battery, but then you'll get many, many, many hours of runtime. Now I want to bring the camera in real close so we can take a look at this battery. It is not very heavy, but based on the build of the battery, the length of the battery, and these nice carrying straps, it actually distributes the weight pretty well. It was surprisingly easy to pick it up and put it here on the table. The battery just comes with itself. It comes with the screw terminals for the battery, and that's about it. The inverter, however, comes with all the cables that you're going to need. So we've got two sets of pretty heavy gauge cables. I may need to pick up an additional cable because I'm throwing in a switch, which is obviously not part of the system. But the inverter, like I said, came with those cables. So taking a look at the inverter itself, it's actually a very nice unit. It's 110 volts, 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. It's got a very nice display screen, and we're going to see all of that shortly when I hook it all up. Coming around to the side here, we have 4 AC outlets. We have 2 USB-A ports. We have the controller port, which, let me just grab the controller so we can see that. This basically allows you to turn the unit on or off remotely. Like I said, if you have this in a cabin or maybe wherever you're going to set this up. And then probably the best feature of this inverter is down here. You can actually wire this directly into an electrical panel and just skip these outlets. So if you were putting this in, say, a shed or an off-grid cabin, and you just wanted to wire this inverter into the electrical system, you can do that with these ports right here on the side. Coming around to the other side of the inverter, we basically have the cooling fans and the battery positive and negative connections. Let me just show you the switch that I picked up as well. So this switch right here is basically a marine switch, but it's a very powerful switch. It's rated for the correct amperage. And my intention with this is to be able to isolate the positive at all times and be able to just turn the system off. So if you're unfamiliar with it, basically what you can do is, in addition to having your positive and negative cables hooked up and going to the system, you can throw this onto the terminals as well, and you would basically just mount those up, connect them in there with the other cables, and then when the battery gets low, all you have to do is take your charger. This is your typical computer style cable. One end plugs into the charger, the other end plugs into the outlet, and then when the system is getting low, and say you plug your charger into the generator, you take this heavy duty cable right here, just connect them up, let it charge. When it's done, disconnect it. The last item I want to show you here on the table, and this is very important for safety, this is a fast acting 250 amp fuse. So basically we're going to take this end right here and we're going to connect it to the battery, and all the cables coming off the battery, all the positive, are going to come off of this terminal, and on this terminal we're going to place this 250 amp 58 volt fuse. It's going to just ride right in there below the cables, and so if any short were to happen in the system, this fuse would immediately trip, shut the whole system off for safety. Okay, so we're downstairs now, and I wanted to take you down here so I can show you basically what I built and how the whole system is going to be mounted. At Home Depot, I just bought one giant piece of wood, and I had them cut it into 3 equally sized pieces, and I connected these 2 pieces to the bottom. I additionally bought 2 pieces of like $1.50 poplar wood, screwed that into the back here to make it a little stronger. I had some leftover on the original piece of wood. I made some angled brackets that I mounted to make it, again, a little bit stronger. And I had an additional piece of the $1.50 wood that I screwed into the front here to make a little lip so nothing can fall out of it. Now the plan is to put the battery right here at the bottom, and then mount the on-off switch and the inverter right here to the top, along with all the cabling, and then take this whole unit here and just screw it down to a little wooden dolly. Fits like a glove. We're going to do 2 in each. Beautiful. Okay, so I went ahead and mounted the inverter off camera. It was just a little bit easier. Okay guys, so I've got the whole system mounted now, kind of the way I would like it. I've got the battery here. I have the inline fuse right at the positive battery terminal. This goes to my very large marine switch, which then goes to the positive terminal of the inverter. The negative goes direct from the battery to the inverter, and that's pretty much the whole setup. For display purposes, and because I'm going to power some heavy devices, actually the toaster, I've got an extension cord reel plugged into the inverter. Now, what I want to do, and I'll pull the camera in close in a second, I'll take some still pictures here, but let's turn the system on. And to do that, we're going to turn the switch to on, and then I'm going to come to the front of the inverter, and I'm just going to power it up. And as that is booting up, you can see, hopefully on the camera here, that the red light has come on the extension cord reel. Let me just go ahead, I'm going to put a meter in here, just so we can take a look and see kind of what we're getting here out of the meter. So we're getting 120.9 volts. Let me just make sure you can see that on the camera, and you can. So that's great. This whole setup works exactly as I want it to. And you can see, it was actually really nice building this platform for it because everything fits very well on the platform. And the benefit of a system like this is that if I want to change the battery out, if I want to do something larger, something smaller, I can. If I need to change the inverter, if I need to change cables, basically every component is interchangeable. Or I could add 2 of these batteries and really make it an even larger, more robust system. So what I want to do right now is let's pull this extension cord reel into the kitchen, and I want to show you by powering the toaster because that's a very heavy device. And then we're going to pull the app up so we can take a look at that as well. All right, now that we're in the kitchen at the toaster, let's go ahead. We're going to turn this on for a toast cycle, and then we're going to grab the camera and we're going to take a look at the inverter itself. I want to point out I did not unspool the entire extension cord. You should do that because you don't want to build a coil basically. However, we're not going to be pulling a large load for hours here. This is just for a test. So we're doing that. Let's go inside right now. I can hear the fans on the inverter. Let's go inside and take a look real quick. Make sure everything looks stable and that we have no issues here. So the fans have spun up. We're pulling 1600 watts, as we can see on the screen here. I'll just take you in a little bit closer. Everything looks like it's performing as it should. Just to get a better up-close look at our inline fuse here on the positive terminal, just in case, I'm just going to go ahead and feel the cables. Everything feels fine. Nothing is hot. Everything is working as expected. Okay, as this is running right now, we've got the load on here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen because what I want you to do is I want you to see the app and I want you to see everything kind of working. So right now we're in the app, we're at the dashboard, we're at a 50% state of charge. I'm going to scroll a little bit, and on the right side you can see our power is 1,709 watts, and that's basically what we're pulling from the battery. Now remember, this app is on the battery, so the inverter itself is pulling about 1,500 watts. There's obviously some power loss in powering the inverter itself. Just moving along, we can see the temperature and we can see the cell balance. So this is just an overview of the app. I actually like the app a lot because it gives you a lot of information. It shows you the remaining capacity is 148 amps out of your 300 amp hour battery. Just coming back here for a second, as soon as the toaster finished its toast cycle, the fans immediately turned off. Inverter's back down to showing no power being used. I'm just going to go ahead and feel the cables. The cables are fine. We have no issues here. I'm actually very pleased with the way this worked. Guys, look, I think all the tests have shown that this is a pretty cool setup and it's not overly expensive. And the thing I like about it the most is that it's modular. So you can replace components as necessary, you can add to them, you can expand the system. What I would probably do is maybe get some even heavier gauge cables, some basically 0 gauge cables. These are fine for what I'm doing, but if I were running a heavy load for a prolonged amount of time, they could heat up. Just something I would consider. I love this battery. I love the inverter. I like that this has a heating pad in the battery, and I really like that this is a 2000 watt. Now I know in some of my previous videos I showed you a really inexpensive inverter. I was just trying to prove a point on how you could build your own system, but this is the type of inverter that you would want. Probably 2000 watts because as we saw from the toaster oven, you're pulling about 1600 watts. So if you only have a 500 watt or 1000 watt inverter, you're not gonna be able to do it. A 2000 watt inverter will do that while still charging devices, powering lights, powering your fridge, etc. The benefit of this inverter is also that it is pure sine wave, so you don't need to worry about dirty power. You have a very clear sine wave that is not going to damage sensitive electronics. Now you can obviously power lights and cell phones and your television and all those devices all day long. I didn't want to show that on the camera because quite honestly it's almost a waste of time. If this can power that toaster that pulls a very significant load, you know for sure that this can run a 20-watt phone charger or a 60-watt light bulb. That's not even going to be an issue. So guys, I'm going to post the links to everything on here in case you want to buy the same battery, the same inverter. If you want to build your own stand, this was very easy to build, very inexpensive. I would definitely recommend that you get some type of a switch. I don't like wiring things directly to the battery just in case you have a problem. I want to be able to turn it off and isolate it. And the inline fuse is an absolute must. Now, again, when this battery becomes low and it becomes depleted and you need to charge it, that's where we're going to use the charger that you saw earlier in the video on the table. I will plug that into my generator, recharge this battery back to full, and then we can use it again. Now in a later video, I'm going to show you how we're going to integrate a solar charger to a system similar to this and how we can use solar to charge in case you don't have a generator or if maybe charging from a generator is not an option. But for this video, as promised, we have the inverter, we have the battery, we have the charger, switch, inline fuse, and a really cool stand. Guys, I hope this was helpful. Do me a favor, ask any questions. I respond to every question. Like and subscribe, that way you don't miss future videos, and I hope this was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.